Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. It's pretty gorgeous out in LA. It's a little overcast, but to me that's gorgeous. So it's all good. So you guys know what bitch beer is? Well, if you think it's what college guys call sweet or fruity drinks. Did I say that right? With us today, two of the girls behind the Austin-based Bitch Beer. They're going to be here to set the record straight on women and beer. Then from Austin, we head to Philadelphia for a restaurant review from foodie and comedian Nicole Yates about restaurateur kingpin Steven Starr's new Mexican joint, El Rey. Now, Steven Starr, huge. The guy has like 80 gazillion restaurants. I'm not kidding. 80 gazillion. I counted them. Then we'll talk to her about her blog, Didja-eat, which is getting a little famous. It's a humorist guide to the city's front and back alley food digs. Then back to California and down south we go, where we clue you into two major food festivals that will fill you up with your ceviche and Mexican food-loving soul. It's a really good show, and we're really excited. First up, though, with me, hopefully right now. Not right now. We don't have them calling in. They should be calling in right now. Two of the 7 women that basically said, hey, we're ladies. We like beer. Hear us roar and drink the beer at the same time. And they also blog about it. We're going to take it. They took it to the web. And they basically were journalists. Okay, pick it up. And they went and started blogging about beer. And so they're here right now. They're going to talk to us about how they became uber popular. They gained national acclaim, and they're now writing. They actually wrote a book. So we're going to talk to Carolyn Wallace and Holly Aker. You guys there with me?
We're here.
Yes, we are.
All right, ladies, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
So what's it like? Are you both in Austin right now?
We are, yes.
Okay, what's the temperature? Since we're talking temperature today, I don't know why. I have a few people in the chat room telling me it's 40 degrees in Grand Rapids. What's it like in Austin?
It's about 80 or so.
Yeah, I think I got out of my car. It's at 81.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome
For
weather.
Austin, that's about 20 degrees less than average. Not for this time of year, but for what we're used to all summer. So
Nice. And it's the
pretty
best.
good.
It's the best place to drink beer, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Stay hydrated.
ladies, I love what's happening in the world right now. People are taking their passions and just saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And the next thing you know, they're getting book deals and national attention. At least that's what happened to you. And people love hearing these stories, and so do I. So I want to hear yours. First, let's explain the name of the site. Beer Bitch.
Totally. So the site is actually called bitchbeer.org. And
Right.
When we came up with the name for the site, it was an idea that we were really familiar with, but now we've kind of learned that a lot of people aren't familiar with the concept of bitch beer.
Right.
But essentially what it is it's like a nickname that it was given to typically like malt beverages, like a Smirnoff Ice or something like that.
Right.
You know, things ladies were supposed to like because they didn't, like traditional beers.
Right. Ladies
for
are
men.
supposed to like. I love this.
Yeah, so it always sounded a pretty offensive term. It was definitely something that came up in college a lot. Someone's throwing a party, better make sure to get some bitch beer for the girls. So when we were kind of came up with this idea, we came up with a name right away when we talked about it. But it was kind of that idea of, well, like, how about this? We're women who like great craft beer, so maybe that's bitch beer. Bitch beer is what women are supposed to drink. So it's a taking it back thing.
Yeah.
And so wait, who was
Women are
just
supposed to drink all beers.
right?
So.
Well, who was just speaking? I just want to clarify so we can put your pictures up.
Oh, for sure. That was I'm Caroline.
Caroline. Okay, great. And the other voice will be Holly. So I just want to make sure Christian knows. He's my engineer for the day. So you made a negative, kind of a negative, because I'm going to be honest, I've never in my life had a Smirnoff Ice. I've always gone for the IPAs. Who the hell drink? I don't know anybody that drink. You do. Oh, my God. My intern, Sarah, just said I do. I love it. I love her. I love her to death. But I personally have always gone for the IPAs. I'm an IPA kind of girl. So I get your passion.
That's awesome.
I love that you took a negative and you made it a positive. Tell us how this really got started.
Well, it got started last year. We all actually wrote for our college newspaper. We were the editor-in-chief, entertainment editor, designer for the paper. So we all had this journalism background. And one day, we all just decided to have a girls' day. And for us, a fun girls' day would be going to a brewery and drinking some awesome beer.
That sounds like a great freaking day.
Right? It was a great day. It was an awesome day. We went to a local brewery called Thirsty Planet, had a bunch of beer, had a lot of fun, got a little drunk, and then we were like, girls, look around us. We are the only group of girls here that are here just to have, a fun Saturday girls' day. There were women there, but they were all, there with their boyfriends or their families, or, it wasn't like they had, it didn't look like they had planned this as like a girls' event. So we were like, this isn't right. Like, girls should be enjoying beer. Why don't girls enjoy beer? So we were just like, we all know how to write. We all can do this. We run a publication, so let's start a blog and start a new publication about what we're passionate about.
You know what? I think this is interesting, and I'm going to answer your question, and you already know what I'm going to say. I know you know. The reason girls don't, because of the calories.
Yep. That's one element of it. I think there are a lot of reasons. One thing that we talk about a lot is that, if women didn't grow up drinking beer, say maybe they had a cheap, bad beer at a college party or at a tailgate or something like that.
Not that ever happens.
Yeah, get into it. It tastes disgusting. They have cocktail and wine. It tastes great. And, maybe they never really go back to it to give it more thought.
Right.
And really try. And that's the great thing about craft beer is there's so many amazing flavors and styles, and anyone, regardless of, male or female, can appreciate flavor and nuance and that kind of thing. So, it really is, craft beer is for everyone, obviously.
Obviously it is.
Brands like big beer brands like Bud Light and all those, they also don't advertise to women. All their advertisements are obviously towards men, because it's about men drinking their Michelob and picking up a hot chick. But, that's not what chicks care about. Girls care about the quality of the beer rather than picking up a chick. And craft beer, when they have advertisements...
Well, some pick up chicks.
Some, of course, some. But most girls, I don't want to be advertised to with, sexy ladies in bikinis.
Right.
But craft beer, typically when they have their ads, it's about the beer. It's not about, good-looking people in their advertisements. It's about, they make quality beer, they make local beer, they make good-tasting beer.
You know what, you guys, you made me think of something. That day that this came about, again, it always comes about in just a thought. It's a little nugget, and if you take that nugget and run with it like a football player down a field, you can score big. I just made an analogy. But I'm guessing that you cornered a market that has not been cornered. Women and beer, right?
There are several other female beer writers, and there's beer clubs for women. There's a great organization called the Pink Boot Society, which helps women find jobs in the brewing community and helps women who are brewers kind of stay connected through that. But really, until we started our blog, didn't really ever see that kind of corner being filled by a group of several women. We have 7 women that write our blog.
Right.
We've never seen another blog run by 7 different women telling 7 different stories about how they're interested in beer.
Yeah, and those women who do write for the other publications, they just write most of them just write as typical journalists. They don't really bring, I'm a woman and I love beer into it.
Has there been?
You really try to do that.
Has there been any kind of backlash, or have you been completely embraced? Have any guys been like, "Oh, what do you know about beer"? That was my guy voice.
Yeah, that was a great guy voice. I think it's kind of been a split thing. One thing we found, and really why we started the blog and early on in our brew drinking experiences, we would definitely run into men at bars who tried to kind of over-mansplain, if you will, the menu offerings, not realizing or not even just thinking that we would know anything about styles. I had a guy tell a guy before that we wrote a beer blog, and then he asked me, "Oh, what's your favorite style of beer then?" And then as I thought about it a little, because I love beer so much, it was a little hard for me to pick a style. He goes, so there's IPAs, stouts, porters. We write a beer blog. I think I'm familiar with basic styles of beer.
Yes, I'm
you do
sure.
encounter things like that. But we'll say that within the craft beer community, the brewers, the other people we meet, are really excited that more women are getting into beer, and we generally, don't encounter a lot of stigma for that.
Right, and I'm sure there's the great guys. Go ahead. I'm sure there's the great guys that just embrace it and love it. It's like, my girl loves beer.
That is very true. We do find a lot of that. Guys do want us in do love what we're doing and want us to keep writing about it because, if we bring women into it, it supports their brewery, it supports their product. So, of course, they want to, expand and get their beer into more people's hands.
Right.
Yeah, as big of a movement as craft beer is, it's only, depending on the recent data, between around like 6% of the alcohol consumed. I mean, compared to big brand beer.
Right.
So cutting off 50% of your potential customer base isn't a smart move for anybody,
Right. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the book deal. How did it come about?
Yeah. We're part of an organization here in Austin called the Austin Food Bloggers Alliance, which is like food and beverage bloggers that are all kind of hooked up together. And we actually worked on a cookbook. We did a little vignette about craft beer in Austin for the Austin Food Bloggers Alliance cookbook, and their publisher, History Press. And History Press has a series of beverage books. They've probably done about 10 beer books or so in different cities like Portland and Nashville. And after reading our little contribution to the cookbook, they approached us because they'd been looking for someone to write the Austin beer section. So it was actually pretty awesome because it's kind of every writer's dream to go into writing a book with a publishing deal already.
Right. Yeah. Hello. It's like, oh my gosh, the roadblocks are off the street. That's fantastic. So we're having.
It was also really great. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
It was really great because I don't think any of us had ever really thought about writing a book.
Right.
It wasn't on like the business plan to write a blog and then write a book. We were just having fun. We write the blog with our best friends, and it was just something we do for fun as an after work activity or hobby. So actually getting something, really of value like a book deal was just completely new to us and very exciting.
That's awesome. And so obviously the book's about beer.
Yes.
So what exactly is it? Different types of beer? Do you go through all the styles? What's the kind of format?
It's actually a history book, a fun history book. So it's a local history book. So it's about the history of Austin beer, and it covers about 160 years of beer history. But the interesting about Austin beer history is we did have some brewers previous to Prohibition, and then we had about a 100-year gap. So by chapter 3 of the book, we're in the 1990s. We have a really recent beer history. So we did over 60 interviews with local brewers and festival organizers and craft beer bar managers and all that kind of thing to really capture the community here, as well as kind of the history of all these breweries opening, what inspired them, what got them started. And then we kind of put our own bitch beer spin on it. We have a drinking game in the beginning of the book and a craft beer pairing for every chapter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
We wanted to make sure it was really accessible to everyone, not just like a history book. We wanted to make it fun.
Yeah.
We wanted to make people really want to read it and not feel like they're reading a history, but a very like interactive history. There's hashtags. There's like beer pairings with every chapter. It's something you want to read, and it's going to be fun when you sit down and read it.
That sounds great, ladies. That really, really does. And we're getting a lot of questions in the chat room as well. A couple people are asking, is there any kind of gluten-free beers out there?
Yeah,
there are. Yeah. There's a brewery that makes they make a lot of gluten-free beers called Omission.
Omission?
Yeah, Omission is a whole line of gluten-free beers they do. So there's several styles, pale ale and a few different things under that style called Omission.
Have you had them? Are they any good?
Not. So out of the 7 of us who write the blog, none of us are gluten-free or gluten-sensitive, really, so it's usually not something we look for. We're always interested if there is one to try it. I've tried them, and I think they're good, solid, taste like a craft beer. They're not doing anything too crazy with that line. They're pretty standard styles, which is cool. There are other breweries that are making some interesting kind of fruited gluten-free beers. Dogfish Head does one called Tweezen Ale that's pretty neat.
Tweezen?
A local brewery here in Austin called Black Star Co-op actually made a gluten-free beer, which is pretty cool to see. I think it was really the only gluten-free beer I've seen around here.
What about... keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please keep...
Ciders. It's not actually... They're not technically beer, but ciders are gluten-free, and sometimes you can find some really good ciders. There's a local cidery here in town called Argus, and they make some funky ciders. It almost tastes like sour beer.
Wow.
Yeah, they utilize, souring bacteria and that kind of wild bacteria and wild yeast, and have really dry finishes. So it's not that like sugary, sweet woodchuck kind of cider you would find. Or I know when I started getting really into beer, I started being very turned off by ciders because a lot of them were very sweet and artificial tasting. And once I had really had the nuance of a great craft beer, I wasn't interested in that. But with Argus Cidery and some of these other kind of craft cideries that are coming up now, you have cideries that are really exploring. Even there's another local cidery in Austin that's just kind of starting up called East Ciders, and they're actually doing a dry hop cider hopped with warrior hops. So
Wow.
it's a hoppy cider.
That
And
sounds
would be
really,
great.
yeah, that sounds really, really great. It sounds like it would warm my soul. What are the current trends in craft beer? Is that the current trend, or where is it going?
I think one big current trend we're seeing right now is, as craft beer was rising with Stone and a lot of breweries like that, there was initially this big thing to make the hoppiest beer possible. Out hop, 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 bitter, bitter, bitter. And now hops are just as big as ever, but I think there's being a trend to turn more towards hop flavor and hop aroma without bitterness, so like low alpha hops.
Wow.
And so we're starting to see a lot of really great like session IPAs. So there's like Green Flash does Citra Session, Green Flash from San Diego, which has all this great citra hop flavor, tropical notes, and all of this, but really no bitterness. And bitterness is something that kind of can turn some people off if they're not used to that and make them think that they don't like hoppy beers in general. But kind of we're seeing now that there's so much more to the term hoppy than just bitter.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I love it hoppy, and I like a little bit of bitter aftertaste. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to try it though without it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty damn good.
I love it either way, but yeah, it's great for people who aren't looking for that bitterness, but really want to start to learn what different hops taste like and really kind of get an appreciation for that.
How can you differentiate the hops? Like, I mean, when I'm looking at a wall of beer, and and all the different hops that go into it, how is it like a consumer for me that I know I like it a bit hoppy? So. Is there certain things that you look for on a label? Is it at a certain, like, I know always to go for the IPA. I do, because I know my taste.
IPA is going to be classically one of your hoppiest styles. If a beer is dry hopped, that usually means it's going to be pretty hoppy over the top. So if you're like hoppy, if you see something's dry hopped, that's always a good sign.
Dry hopped.
In terms of the different hops, though, that's definitely something that takes a lot of practice. And even a really experienced beer drinker might only be able to pick out a few different types of hops because there are several that are pretty floral, several that are pretty fruity, several that are pretty resiny or piney.
Right.
But if you kind of can, a great thing to do is there are different, so that Citra Session I mentioned actually before is a single hop IPA. Bell's Two Hearted is a single hop IPA. So both those only have one hop variety in them. So if you taste a single hop, a traditional IPA might have 2 or 3 hops, so that's why it might be harder for you to pick out what the hops are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start experimenting with single hop IPAs, you can really start to kind of, get to know the taste of individual hops.
That's awesome. That's really interesting. So seasonal beers, where I'm being asked, what are some good seasonal beers to try, especially for the fall and winter?
Definitely any Oktoberfest that you can get. Let me think. Brooklyn makes a really great Oktoberfest. Very malty, not too hoppy, but it just has a very, very fall. It just tastes like fall.
Right.
It smells like what you think fall would taste like,
Yeah.
Pumpkin beers obviously are out right now, and
right.
There's, a couple different schools of thought for pumpkin beers. Some really go for that kind of pumpkin pie in a glass idea. You got your pumpkin, but you also got your cinnamon and all those kind of pie spice flavors. So if you like that kind of thing, depending on what part of the country you're listening from, Schlafly's Pumpkin Ale is awesome.
What is it? Schlafly's?
Schlafly from St. Louis. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Wasatch also makes a really great pumpkin. It's more for the type of person who wants to drink a pumpkin pie in a beer. It's very sweet.
Very sweet.
But it's very pumpkin-y. But it's not so. People who aren't so into pumpkins are the really sweet pumpkin thing are really turned off by that.
Okay.
And then you've got other people kind of, instead of departing from the pumpkin ale, now starting to put pumpkins into other styles. So St. Arnold out of Houston, Texas, does Pumpkinator, which is an imperial stout with pumpkin. And then Southern Tier in New York, they have Warlock, which is kind of a similar style. It's a dark pumpkin-y beer. Alaska has a pumpkin porter. So.
Oh, nice.
Fun things.
Yeah, the dark ones are nice because it's not so sweet, it's not so sugary. It tastes more like beer.
Yeah.
It's got more of a strong, backbone to it. And a lot of the darker ones, and like the Imperials, it's going to be boozier. So,
Right.
that's always a plus.
Perhaps a digestif.
Oh yeah, and porters are they're great for after dinner, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the porter, they can be great for with dessert or just after dinner. Any darker style like that, or stronger, something like a barley wine, or
And aren't they supposed to be less in calories? And this is just this is something that I read.
Yeah. Well, a beer is to be higher in calories the more alcohol content it has.
Okay.
And darker beers do tend to have a higher ABV, but if you love beer, you just try not to think about that.
Right.
Just enjoy it.
And porters actually are traditionally sort of a lower alcohol. I mean, they're traditionally more like in the 5 to 7 range, and around 6 or so. So porters actually, could have less calories than, say, a stronger Belgian style or something like that. But have to say, we don't really pay a lot of attention to beer calories.
Which is great, which is awesome, and I love that.
For better or worse.
For better or worse, I think it's awesome. So one question from a friend of mine, are you guys accepting any outside contributors?
Oh, yes, always.
Always. Great.
If you're a lady and you like beer and you want to write about something, just send it to us.
What if you're not a lady? I'm kidding. And you're a woman, but you're not a lady.
But, I mean, we get really excited when, we turn a lady on to beer, or a lady wants to write for us. That's what we're doing. We want ladies to get into this. And if they can get into it by writing about it, then we fully support that.
All right, so let's give people ways to contact you guys. Your website, bitchbeer.org, right?
Yep.
Twitter?
We're on Twitter at bitchbeerblog.
Okay. And Facebook?
We're on Facebook at Facebook/Betchbeer, BETCH, because fun fact, you can't put profanity in your Facebook URL.
That's a nice fun fact. Thank you for that. Betchbeer /Facebook /Betchbeer, because you cannot put bitch in your profile name. That's interesting.
Really, yeah.
Ladies, you are awesome. You have given us so much information, and thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Caroline Wallace and Holly Aker, thank you so much. Bitchbeer.org, and the book. Where can we buy the book, and where can we give it as gifts?
Yeah, if you're in Austin, it's in several retailers, and Book People, our big bookstore here, and it's in Barnes & Noble and that kind of thing. If you're not in Austin, you can buy it online on our publisher's website, History Press. It's also on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and you can buy it off our website as well.
Thank you so much. Seriously, ladies, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. You gave us a lot of information. Much, much, much success to you guys, all 7 of you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michelle.
All right. Good luck, guys. I will talk to you soon. I'd love to have you back anytime. You have an open door here in Los Angeles. Anytime you guys are in LA too, or anything. Seriously, give me a call.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right. See you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Next up, we head to Philadelphia and meet with Nicole Yates, a comedian and foodie whose blog, Did-Ya-Eat, is gaining some major, major attention, as well as her stand-up. And she gives us our first 60-second restaurant review on Steven Starr's new Mexican place, El Rey. That's coming up next on Pure Pollino. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. This is Pure Pollino. What a fun time those Bitch Beer girls are. Bitchbeer.org is how you can get a hold of them. Right now, though, we're going to speak with Nicole Yates. Well, growing up in Philadelphia, I think it was Philadelphia. I don't know, Nick. You're going to have to tell me.
Yeah, Philly all the way.
All right. Nicole fell hard for her first love, which was comedy, whether it was sneaking out of bed late at night to watch stand-ups on Carson or Letterman, or staying up to catch Saturday Night Live, or memorizing the TV guide to ensure she caught all the comedy on the television for the rest of the week. Nicole was hooked. Always the funny kid in the group. When she finally rolled up on stage, it fit like a glove, holding a ham sandwich. Nicole Yates, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah, totally.
I
am very excited. I am. You can't see me, but I'm dancing.
I can picture you dancing. So seriously, a foodie and you do stand up. It's like being, an astrologer who does a food show. It's kind of this mix that you don't
imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Have you ever combined the two while doing stand up?
Not really, but I think more I combine the comedy into the food blog as opposed to the food into the comedy, if that makes sense.
Wait, oh, yes, it does make sense. It took me a minute, but it does make sense. When did you start the food blog?
Too many bits about food, so is what I'm saying.
When did you start the food blog?
I started the food blog 3 years ago. It was 3 years in August. And what had happened was I was down the shore with my cousins. My cousins have a bunch of little kids, and we were down in Wildwood. And one of them got very excited because when they were walking down one night, they'd seen a pizza with cheese fries on it. And they were just like blew everybody's mind. So we walked up and down the boardwalk trying to figure out which pizza place had it. And one of my cousins said, "Oh, you should take pictures and write about this on the internet." And I said, "You know what? I think I'm gonna." And then I did. And 3 years later, I'm still doing it.
That's great. And, your show is pretty hot. I saw it on your website, which tell everybody what your website is.
Well, the food blog is didja-eat.com, and the comedy site is yatescomedy.com.
Okay. And what's Polish Goodness?
Polish Goodness was the pierogi company that I had for a while. I made pierogies for a couple of years.
That's
True
right.
story.
I forgot. You did pierogies.
Yes.
You're not doing them anymore.
3 solid years. What?
You're not doing them anymore?
No. I did everything by hand, and I ended up blowing out basically my left shoulder. Yeah.
Making pierogies?
So I can't roll dough anymore.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
And I still get phone calls from people trying to order stuff from me. In fact, my friend Melissa's husband, Ronnie, is insisting I'm holding out on him. It's like I'm giving them to everybody, but I'm not giving them to him. I'm like, come on, Ron.
So you have a favorite Philly cheesesteak place. Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. Philly cheesesteaks, geez. Well, there's John's roast pork, which is good on Delaware Ave.
I love. Yeah, that's a good roast pork place.
Yeah, and then there's a place up on Tarsdale Ave that used to be called Chinks, but they've changed their name because that's kind of offensive. I don't imagine. But I mean, when the guy opened the place, 60 years ago, I guess.
Chinks, really?
What?
He called the place Chinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't, and yeah,
okay.
Apparently, I'm not making that up. The guy that had opened the place, he had almond-shaped eyes, and that's what his friends had called him. Casual racism and all. And yeah, so he just called it that. And then the guy retired, and then he sold it to another guy that had worked for him for years. And the guy decided, I guess I'll keep the name. But then he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to change it because every couple of years people would freak out because it's offensive. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he changed the name.
Yeah.
And now they're still fantastic cheesesteaks. I think the best in the city.
Yeah. Chinks.
Yeah.
Casual racism. Okay.
Yes. True story.
True story.
You can't make that kind of stuff up.
You cannot make that kind of stuff up. So let's talk about, I know you're going to do the first Pure Pollino 60-second review of El Rey.
Yes.
Steven Starr's.
Yes.
This is kind of huge because Steven Starr, we're going to go straight into it. We're not going to go into a break. We're going to go straight into the 60 seconds.
Okay.
But Steven Starr has like a bazillion restaurants. You know that, right?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. He's got like 22 in Philadelphia. I'm not kidding. 22 in Philadelphia. I looked it up this morning. 3 in Florida, or 2 in Florida, 3 in New Jersey, and 3 in New York City.
And I heard he's looking to move up to New York and down to D.C. as well.
Oh, yeah, and he's got 1 in D.C. now. He's got 1 in D.C. So, you got some ghoul to be doing a restaurant review. You know what that is in Italian? You know what that is?
Balls?
Yeah! Ding, 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 ding.
Nice.
Nice.
Girl knows a little something.
There it is. So, yeah, you got some ghoul to be reviewing a Steven Starr restaurant. And that's why I love you. So, I'm going to put on the timer. Hold on. I'm going to pull my timer up here because this is a first for the Pure Pollino show. All right, here we go. I got an online stopwatch, and hopefully I'm going to, hold on. 2 seconds. Here we go.
Okay.
Bum, ba, da, bum, bum, ba. And Go.
Owned by restaurant emperor Steven Starr, he employs 75% of Philly's art school dropouts. It's in Rittenhouse Square, otherwise known as the douchebag incubator. It's actually an old diner without the "how you doing" on waitresses, but with 70s paneling. I flashed back to beating my friend Ray at Burger Time on his Intellivision. Me and my friend Alejandro went before performing at a Helium Comedy Club. We got the happy hour tacos, but I'll tell you what, I had communion wafers bigger than these things. He had margaritas, but they don't refill them until you're completely finished. I don't like to see a grown man cry, so I ordered them too and slid them across the table when no one was looking. He said they were amazing, and he loved the salt. I had a Mexican Coke, the soda kind, not the fun powdery kind. We also ordered nachos with homemade chips. They were as big as a Peter Brady volcano and exploded with Chihuahua cheese instead of lava. But actually, the technical pronunciation of that cheese is Chihuahua. Did you know? It was amazing. We even got our check because our waiter had hipster jeans that were so tight, I didn't think his feet had blood flow. The whole thing was about $40 and included drinks. The naps are also included. I gave it 3 out of 4 burritos.
Nice! Well done! Well done!
Am I under?
You are under. You hit it right on. Hell, woman. That is fantastic. You are
Thank
awesome.
you.
I had no idea what you said other than there was no blood flow and there was some Mexican cocaine involved. Those are the two things I got out of it.
Okay.
No, seriously, seriously, I want to know overall, how was it?
No, it's good. It's
overpriced,
good.
right?
It's
Say
an
it.
old 70s. It's an old 70s diner down
Right.
on Chestnut Street.
Right.
And they left all like the wood paneling and that kind of stuff. The food's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and I am not kidding. It was a Peter Brady volcano of nachos. I
Wow.
mean, you could have, you needed like a hand truck to move them from the tray to the table.
Wow. I want nachos
Really
now.
good. But the happy hour tacos. I mean, seriously, I've had communion wafers that were bigger than this.
Yeah.
They were just like microscopic.
Yeah.
That's
That's what starts to happen. But you got other things. The drinks were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
it was happy hour, so they can't give you like the full shebang for like the $1 that it costs.
Right.
Don't make their money. But yeah, it's not a bad place to hang out as long as you don't go during like the rush type time.
Right, because everybody wants to be seen at a Steven Starr restaurant.
Oh God, yeah, everybody's standing on top of each other. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why everybody cut off their blood flow. That's why. That's why. All right, you
You
can
need to
follow.
put
You can follow Nicole on Twitter. We're gonna wrap it up because we're gonna
Sure.
come back and talk about a couple of festivals that are happening this weekend down south near San Diego. Yatesy, thank you so much. We can
Hey.
follow you on Twitter at
Yatesy75.
Yatesy75.
Somebody already got Yatesy, so I'm Yatesy75.
And your didja-eat. Didja-eat,
And
right?
didja-eat.com.
On didja-eat.com.
And that's didja_eat on Twitter.
Awesome. Yatesy, thank you so much for taking the time to
Hey.
spend with us today.
Hey, Michelle, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, I'll talk to you, babe. Take care.
You bet.
Up next.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Up next, we head to Tijuana for the Baja California Culinary Festival. It is one of the best food festivals in the world. We're going to find out why. That's coming up next on Pure Pollino. Okay, welcome back. This is Pure Pollino. My name is Michelle Pollino, and I want to thank our former guest, Nicole Yates. And here comes Tony Sweet into the room. You're going to see a man cross behind me. Watch. There he goes. Nicole Yates, and you can follow her at Yatesy75 on Twitter, and of course, bitchbeer.org, the girls' Bitch Beer blog. Follow them on Twitter as well. Right now, I want to talk about a couple of things happening in the area in Southern California. Again, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Bourdain and ceviche, and his Baja episode of No Reservations literally made me want to drive south to Tijuana and get some ceviche. Only because I know I've been there before, and it sincerely is the freshest fish I've ever had in my entire life. And if you love it, then my lovely peeps, get your tickets now. Or if you live in San Diego, drive down there now. I want somebody to come by Sunset Gower Studios, pick me up, and go down there. The festival starts today. It's the 3rd annual Baja California Culinary Festival, and it runs through this coming Sunday, October 27th. What this means is it's 4 days of seriously excellent food, more than 24 guest chefs and sommeliers, chef demos, restaurant and craft beer crawls, lots of mezcal, which is a good thing if you don't want to remember things, and more excellent food than you can imagine. So it celebrates a culinary region that I think in Southern California, I think sometimes we don't really realize what is right across our border. And Mexico is just amazing. Sometimes I'll drive down to Ensenada and just for the seafood, it just tastes better. I don't know why. This year's events will include a series of themed dinners on Friday night at a Tijuana restaurant. There's wine tastings, there's cooking demos, food-themed movie screenings, curbside dining, beer outings, and on Sunday, to conclude the festival, and if you've got nothing going on this weekend, if you got Sunday free, you have to go down to Tijuana. The reason being is because they have this amazing culinary tour of the Valle de Guadalupe. So it's the Valley of Guadalupe, the saint. It's an amazing culinary tour, and it's cheap, guys. The reason I bring it up is you can stand behind. The reason I bring it up is because it starts at $7. And if you live in LA, San Diego, you're right there. It's going to take you 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If you live in LA, it's going to take you 2 hours to get down there, easy. But if you go online, go to Airbnb, you can find a cheap place to stay in Chula Vista. Watch where you stay in Chula Vista, but you can find a cheap place to stay. It'll cost you maybe $25, $50, $20 in gas, $50 to get down there, $7 to get into the festival. It's kind of worth it, I think. I mean, for those of us that are on a budget, and I sincerely am all the time, and I love it, it's the best food in the world. And it's right at our door. It's right at our back door. So it's the 3rd annual Baja California Culinary Festival. I was hoping that we'd get somebody from there to call in. Are they calling in? They're not calling in. So that's a bummer because I want to get down there. It's you can find all the information on it actually on my website. And where is all my stuff? There it is. Thank you. Tickets for the event range from $7 to $75. See each day's events. You can buy tickets online. There's a handy tutorial on crossing the border because sometimes that's a little tough. You can view the complete schedule and chef lineup. You can visit them online at www.bcculainaryfest.com. All the links for today's show will be on my Facebook page. So Facebook.com/Pure Pollino. We are over 800 likes in 5 countries now. It's crazy. 800 in less, what do we got, 2 months now? Hun, we had 2 months? We're 2 months and we have over 800 likes. We're in 5 countries, including the Netherlands, Italy, and France. I'm really excited about that. If you can get me to 1,000 before Halloween, I'd be forever grateful. But we're going to have the link to the Baja California Culinary Festival. It's www.bcculainaryfestival.com. You can get your tickets there. You can find out cheap places to stay. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about another festival coming up next. Can we go to a song? Welcome back to Pure Pollino. My name is Michelle Pollino. I want to thank our previous guests today. Again, you can find them on Pure Pollino, Facebook.com/Pure Pollino. We are talking about food festivals in the area. We just talked about the Baja California Culinary Festival. Pretty cheap eats, really good food. Mexico's a lot of fun. Mezcal can get you in trouble, so take your time when drinking. Find a place in Chula Vista, really cheap. Airbnb, by the way, it's a great little website that I found where you can stay in people's cabanas, people's houses. I do it all the time and get to stay places for like $50. No lie, it's awesome. So welcome back. And right now, there's another festival that's happening in 2 weeks. It's the 10th annual classic San Diego Bay Wine and Food Festival. I love San Diego for so many reasons, but this is huge. Nobody understands that San Diego has an underbelly of food, and there's a lot of great Mexican cuisine that comes up from Mexico, and they land in San Diego, and they create some amazing places. I also have one of my favorite places in downtown San Diego is Croce's. Has anybody ever been to Croce's? It's a sports bar. It's got some great food. And I guess it's the wife of singer-songwriter Jim Croce. Do you remember who he is? He's a singer-songwriter that I think in the 70s, Operator, I think was his song. I think that was it. But that's his family's restaurant. They ended up in the San Diego Bay. And Croce's is definitely one of my favorites. But the San Diego Food and Wine and Food Festival is happening November 18th through the 24th. It's a really cool festival. Put it on your calendar. There's amazing chefs going down from LA as well as San Diego, and some of the best Mexican food you will ever have in your life in that place. So I want to thank everybody, thank all my guests today for being here. All the links from today's show will be up on my Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at Pure Pollino, or Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Vimeo. You can catch us on Stitcher as well, all our podcasts. Remember, your time on this earth is limited, so don't waste it living somebody else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. You're here to shine. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, just like all our guests did today. I want to thank them all. Thank you guys for listening, because somehow you already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Thank you, Steve Jobs, for that quote for today. Thank everybody for listening. I love you guys. I'm going down to Baja right now. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.